thank you everyone for joining us here. We had a very exciting discussion of NFTs today, um, with Aline and Camille sort of leading the discussion on how they're integrating their jewelry line with AR, VR, with other artists in collaborations, with music, film, um, etc., live art, dance, and creating things in super world, in AR, VR, and the better world that we all want to see with their line of jewelry. And guys, could you just summarize a little bit of what we were discussing for our audience here, and then we can have other speakers comment on it.
Thank you, Mariana. Yes, so we are participating as artists in residence on Superworld and in their NFT salon. So we started with a jewelry brand in 2020 and based in Zug, Switzerland, and we are launching Prism Art Labs, where we're doing our co-creations with artists from dance, music, art, graffiti, and all other forms of art. We're also launching our AR, augmented reality, and 3D Salon, so we can have an immersive experience. And what we love about blockchain and NFTs is that our consumers and clients can order the digital piece, but they can also purchase afterwards on the e-commerce the physical piece, and that will be the same business model and revenue model will be applied for Prism Art Labs. Therefore, we will split also the revenues between the artists we collaborate with. And I think we've had many artists come out and really trust us because, well, we've known them for many years, but also because they realize in a few minutes they don't understand what blockchain is or NFT is, but they understand that there's this peer-to-peer relationship, and they're convinced by that. And I think that COVID-19 also really accelerated that, where artists are finally able to have a platform, and when fairs are not taking place, they needed to shift strategy, and which we also did. And Superworld for us is the ideal platform to showcase your art, your artworks, as a content creator. And you have the NFT where you have the digital scarcity and the unique certification. So it really gives a voice to artists. And that's why we've waited for a year to really find the perfect platform to launch our digital jewelry and to launch our co-creations. And really being on board an artist in residence on Superworld really accelerated our concept of Prism Art Labs.
So, Adrian, you've been participating in many hours of discussions on NFTs in the ClubHouse and probably in other settings lately. What do you think is kind of the most interesting thing that you've seen people discussing at the moment?
So we have a bunch of really awesome projects in the pipeline. There's speaking of Superworld, it'll be a metaverse type project, but with the Dalai Lama, where we have a 3D scan of his private meditation chamber and a hologram of the Dalai Lama. And so you'll be able to actually, purchase a meditation membership and go meditate with the Dalai Lama. That should be super fun. And then we have another one with OG Pay where they're actually doing this killer gamification. And they have a 966, 933. I'm so Porsche, not smart. Basically a $600,000 custom built Porsche. And they're NFTing each part of the car, and you have to collect the entire car, and there's only one key. And then when you have all of it, and you have the entire car collectible, then you get flown to Vegas and you get the car. So there's lots of really cool things. We have one musician we're building a community for where they're going to get Ask Me Anythings, and they're going to get like early invites to all the concerts if it's within their geolocation, like all sorts of really fun real world live experiences, rather than just a JPEG with a serial number that can be right clicked and saved to desktop.
I'm loving this. And this is all in Superworld?
No. The Dalai Lama is actually probably going to be in Decentraland if they don't build their own metaverse.
Cool.
But it's the same kind of idea, like driving mainstream adoption of these metaverses, I think is going to be one of the hottest things ever. And especially when we have some new tech coming out where you're going to be able to play in the metaverses on your television, not just in a headset, because that's the key thing for people is like, a $700 headset is a barrier to entry for mainstream consumers. So we need to be able to have them be able to go and play even on a phone and a Google Cardboard.
It's amazing that this is finally all coming together at once. It's like all these technologies merging together to create these new entertainment experiences at once. I love it.
Yeah, and in the metaverses, we're actually working on because Club Fest is in September, and that is going to be in a metaverse, and we're going to have NFTs. We're going to have we have a matching in October in New York fashion show with NFT clothing. It's actually like redeemable NFT tokens for actual couture clothing, and some of it'll be super rare, so it's like literally designed for your body exactly. But we're having a lot of those fashions. We're actually having them made into wearables in the metaverse, so you can actually pick up a token and you buy a new outfit, so your avatar can have all of the clothes that don't fit in your closet.
I love it. It's great.
Yes.
It's very, very exciting, and it's very, very creative at the moment in terms of what one can accomplish with all these new tools. Um, I just sent an article today about financial independence of women. That's from our group that you and I are on, the blockchain, powerful blockchain females group, and it's really interesting to find out. I think someone circulated an article that was a study that was released this morning that, despite the fact that women still don't have financial independence around the world, they did a study and they quoted a whole bunch of people who had great success with variety of crypto products and then investing in crypto, trading crypto, and kind of taking care of their families in this way. And what's really interesting to me is to see that it's not just the artists that are now able to sustain themselves, but we're providing finally access to capital and access to opportunity to women and other untapped communities. Have you guys seen any interesting projects from that perspective that they're either NFTs or DeFi space? We had Jillian speak today at the virtual Infiom Salon. She couldn't join us yet, but she actually is one of the women that were quoted in this study that has ended up, she was at JP Morgan for many years, and then um, due to a divorce and the financial market sort of tanking in 2008, she was without work, and then her ex-husband went bankrupt in Ireland, and she ended up taking over his debt, which doesn't it's not the same law in the U.S., but she kind of had to start over at that stage of her life, and she's now documenting all the blockchain greats and has invested in crypto and funded her life this way. She was one of our speakers this morning. It's really fascinating to see that these new technologies are changing the world literally every day in terms of ability to gain access to capital and to resources. So if anyone else wants to comment on that, go ahead. Okay, finally, one more study that I circulated recently is about the fact that using NFTs, many of the artists globally in variety of countries were able to quit their jobs and actually use NFTs to sustain themselves, and they're funding their existence with this. So I believe that this is where it's going, that these consensus economies will create work for everyone. Um, Investment for people in the consensus economy, and therefore ability to work in the area of interest that they're in, versus trying to kind of just work in order to sustain themselves and their families. Are you seeing any of these projects, Jeanette?
Well, I was just going to say that I think there's a really interesting parallel between this movement now and when mobile phone transactions and mobile phone banking first started, in that it creates a new opportunity for the unbanked. Because a lot of people that may not have access to certain kinds of technologies uh, definitely have a phone these days. And so I think it's going to be an interesting sort of loss leader for this space. But I also had a question, which was, Adrienne, you were talking about these contests and the car contest and all of that. And I know from my marketing past, sometimes there is just a massive amount of regulations that you have to follow in order to do lotteries or giveaways. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts about how that's shaping up for this NFT space.
It's really complicated. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes, every state has different laws if you're going to do anything like a sweepstakes or anything like that. So it has to be designed really carefully to make sure that it's not considered a sweepstakes or a lottery. There has to be, it's basically purchasing fractional things so that when you get all of it, you end up getting to be able to trade it in for the real world thing. But then you have to make sure that it's not considered a security. So the legal hoops are insanity. And as I say in every single room, lawyer, 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 whatever you can dream up, you can do, but you have to do it legally because none of us look good in orange. So
I,
yeah, that's a big hurdle. So that's why I'm designing, especially for the musical artists, I'm
Mhm.
designing a framework for, an alternative to Bitcloud, the creator coin
Right, right.
scam of the century, to keep them out of trouble. So basically, like, here is an architecture that the SEC loves, that legal has approved, that builds your community, goes viral, builds membership, gives you direct connection to your audience, and you can own your audience. And this way, you're not like subbing out your audience to Facebook or Instagram,
Right.
where you don't actually own the audience, they do, and they
Uh-huh.
can cut you off at any time and deplatform you.
Right.
So that's the architecture that we're building. That'll be a basic framework. And then the only thing that's different is your brand and your style and the content. But the
So
rest of it's the same and it's approved.
so are you turning to the same experts that you would turn to for traditional giveaways and then applying the NFT piece onto it?
No, I'm avoiding giveaways.
Okay.
I'm avoiding them like the plague. Have you seen the regulations? Have you
I have.
seen the documentation and the 3-point font at the bottom of those? Send in your $5 for an extra ticket to win. But
I
it's
have.
really a poll that's going to go out in 8 years. Oh my goodness, my poor mother in law, bless her soul, bless her departed soul, she would get like a foot of junk mail a week easily. And I would say half of it were fake scams, fake charities. And she was starting to write checks like 20 checks a day because it gave her something to do. $5, $20, $5, $3, whatever, right? And half of these things, even if they passed the legit, and I don't know how they passed the legitimate sweepstakes office, right? But they're like, we have the sweepstakes, we're going to pull it in 2040. I'm like, how? No,
Oh my
there should
god.
be a 12-month limit. So what they do is these printing companies, and this is the scam, right? So the printing companies go out to all these nonprofits and say, we'll help you raise funds and awareness, right? And we'll do everything for you. All you got to do is slap your logo on it. And they go, great, sign me up. So this pet rescue, you know, neuter and spade clinic in Seattle did it. And they raised, I want to say, $11 million in donations. And it was like $9.8 million in fees to the printing company.
Wow.
So this is the printing, so that was actually a legitimate one. The fake one was the firefighters bereavement fund. It's not a 501c3. I looked it all up. So this is the thing, like, people don't understand with these sweepstakes things, like, yeah, and they actually scammed her out of I think it was like $5,000 that she sent over Western Union because she had to pay the taxes for her $5 million sweepstakes win. And they're like, oh no, it's totally legitimate. Here, call the sweepstakes office. And they gave her the phone number and she called the phone number they gave her.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I avoid all sweepstakes and giveaways like that because it is rife with scam and frauds. And I want to stay 20 miles plus away from that. So everything has to be absolutely, I dotted, T crossed, no more than 2-tier affiliate marketing. Otherwise, you're an illegal multi-level marketing scam. Like, all these little I dotting and T crossings, it makes it really complicated. because people are like, oh, I'm just going to, take my album that's been out for 2 years where there's music videos on every song on YouTube for free, slap the album cover up there, call it an NFT and charge $100,000. I'm like, dude, that's a cash grab. And I'm pretty sure I could figure out a way to make that illegal, because he's literally marketing it going, invest in my NFT. I'm like, you said the word invest. That makes it a security.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working in technology and marketing for 20 years, and
Yep.
I come up with a new idea every day, but I'm like, I don't know how. There's so many ways that you could use this tech, but every time I get into the nitty gritty of it, I'm like, there's got to be somebody who's gonna help simplify some of this for folks.
Exactly. And that's why what I'm doing is I'm building these frameworks, one for, creators like artists, one for celebrities who want to have that like celebrity thing, and another one for music and filmmaking because they're very similar in the architecture, but then getting that framework approved because then they save like 50 grand in legal fees. It's like, great, we just need an opinion letter that this framework is actually legitimate. And then
Awesome.
they just plug in all their content. And then we have this whole thing. Well, that's the thing. Like I always say, Bitcloud's a scam. Rally's actually doing a good job because they really educate their influencers. You cannot say this. You cannot say this. You cannot do this. And then they monitor their social media. And if they get anywhere close to the edge, and I mean like 5 feet from the line, they literally go, take a few steps back. You can't say that. How about say it this way? How about do it this way? And so that's why they're onboarding so slowly with their creator coins, but they're doing a really good job. So they're making sure that their people toe the line and stay on the correct side of legality, where these other influencer platforms are literally just like, let's just spaghetti, see if it sticks on the wall, and ask for forgiveness. Look at EOS; they raised $4 billion and got a $24 million slap on the pinky. you know that seems to be the wild wild west mentality, and so I'm trying to help all of these creators avoid it, because I was in a room with Usher the other night and I couldn't get on stage because I didn't know anybody up there, but I know his stylist, so I'm literally like back channeling to a stylist going, no Bitcloud, no Bitcloud. And they're all trying to get him to sign up for Bitcloud on the stage. I'm like, no.
Why not Bitcloud?
Why not Bitcloud? Oh, let me count the ways. Okay, there's my pulpit. Let me get on it. So, first of all, it's Bitcoin in, nothing out. The founders are anonymous. The blockchain reveals the public and private keys of every transaction. We're literally going to put together a white hat hackathon and just steal all the Bitcloud off the platform because it's really not that hard. And there's no monitoring of how people are using it. They're saying invest in my creator coin, invest in my Bitcloud. It's going to go up. All of that is illegal marketing. If you look at the Munchie decision, it was the perfect epitome of a structurally perfect utility token on the blockchain with an already functional application, and you'd buy the tokens and you could immediately use them. It was going to be the mecca of our case studies for this is what a utility token is. And then they marketed their way into being called a security. So the words matter, and the way that Bitcloud is doing it, and the way that it is an unmitigated shill fest, especially all over ClubHouse, it's crazy. The SEC is already looking at a lot of the bigger whales, the bigger celebrities to make an example of. And why does nobody remember that in 2017, Floyd Mayweather was smacked by the SEC for marketing an unregistered security? And let me rephrase that, illegally marketing an unregistered security. So people need to look to history, like what's the fastest way to piss off the SEC, and just like not do that. Maybe that might be a good idea, right?
Absolutely. It's just interesting that they were sort of like the first place where most musicians would go to kind of learn about the space and create some value in the space. But there are many other opportunities now. So
Oh,
hopefully,
well, they did the Clubhouse strategy on Clubhouse. They literally did welcome parties for BitCloud. Sign up to BitCloud, onboard BitCloud here. Like literally everybody and anybody was teaching everybody about BitCloud. And then they were, oh my goodness. And then the information was wrong and bad and not legally compliant. And I was getting dragged into these rooms to correct people. And I'm like, okay, what was the question? And then I'd answer it and they're like, oh no, that's not what so and so said. I said, well, I'm right. Go look it up. Here's the links. So it's just crazy. You You have uncertified people giving legal advice that are not lawyers, not accountants, not SEC officers, and they're just, run of the mill people who work at Subway who got into Bitcloud and want to make a lot of money.
And what's so interesting is that, if you look at YouTube, then, let's just talk about, the bigger issue. And
Right.
all of the YouTubers that are influencers in the space, there's a handful that I would say, okay, these guys do their research, they talk to the founders, they actually
Yep.
care whether the business is real. But most of it is like, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that, read this headline, read that headline, buy this, buy that, based on the headline. It's just astonishing that this is still even
But this is
allowed.
but this is the thing, like, a friend of a friend, he was like one of the early investors in SafeMoon. He put in 2,500 bucks. He just cashed out for 3 million. They don't do anything. I'm like, it's a cash grab and it's a pump and dump, or a pre-dump, but they're still pumping. But like, I can't invest in those kinds of things. I would be rich right now if I literally threw 50 bucks into every single shit coin that had ever passed my desk.
Yeah, it's a very challenging space to kind of, for just the regular consumer investing in these currencies. They don't really understand the value of a management team, the value of the business model, the value of the business development relationships. Is this something that's actually going to replace a certain vertical in a certain industry, or is this something that, is just a me too wannabe with a token kind of a thing?
Exactly.
And it's hard to, it's hard to really, I understand how the regulators have a problem with this, space, because there's so many tokens right now, and it's very tough to kind of discern what makes sense and what doesn't. And unfortunately, we're all going to be paying the price for this,
Yes, with heavier oversight.
with heavier oversight for all the companies that are trying to launch. Let's just talk a little bit about the adoption at the moment. And, there's this fascinating thing happening with Asia, with the adoption. It seems to me that Binance has this whole ecosystem that's trying to replace Ethereum, but it's not a DAO. It's a centralized, company that is very well organized, but yet they have this mentality of a DAO. Every time we talk to a company that did an IEO on Binance, they're actually very focused on owning the world in their own little segment, or
Right.
big segment. And what do you think is going to happen, everybody, with in terms of, is Binance really going to be one of the top leaders in this market, despite the fact that it is not really a DAO structure?
I think that Binance is going to appeal to mainstream consumers who want someone to blame if something goes wrong, and who are not quite to the point where they can have personal responsibility and self-reliance to not lose their keys. So I think it's a stepping stone to decentralization. It's probably necessary, and the government really likes them because they're super compliant. But in terms of, is it a benefit to we the people taking back our country and our sovereignty and our finances? No. Is it a step along the way? Probably.
But they launched the DEX, and they launched, all sorts of things, Pancake Swap, etc., that are competing with things that are very decentralized.
Have you ever lost your Metamask wallet? I did for 48 hours, and it had the billion tokens for my company in there and a bunch of other stuff, and I lost my ever loving mind for 48 hours, and then I got access back because I had so many MetaMask wallet keys, seed phrases, and I'm trying them all and they're all empty, and I'm like, what the heck is this? Why do I have all these empty ones? And then I found it, but it took me 48 hours, and I don't know if a mainstream consumer would have the patience, um, or the resiliency to actually just keep looking and not break down and like jump off a building.
Yeah, so that definitely argues for something like Binance or crypto.com, which is like a Binance, wannabe. But basically, every time you look at, whether it's a new NFT launch or DeFi launch or DeFi marketplace launch, you are seeing Binance and Crypto.com having one of those themselves, and yet they're centralized companies.
I'm very fond of crypto.com, by the way. Very, very fond. It is crack cocaine for consumers. It's, I mean, literally, somebody mentions something, I go on crypto.com, I buy $20 with my debit card, done. I own it. And I know it's centralized and I want to move everything off, but it's like, it's so easy and they have so much more than Coinbase. And I'm a little cranky I'm a little salty at Coinbase, but I love crypto.com. It's great.
And yet it's, it kind of goes against the whole blockchain space, the whole consensus economy space, really. But it's very user friendly.
I would prefer crypto.com be the stepping stone to mainstream people understanding, okay, now that you own some crypto, let's put it in your own wallet, right? Now that you've been onboarded, now let's get you a sovereign wallet. Because, and this is part of the conversation we're going to be having here on Clubhouse probably for the next 2 weeks. Everybody who owns ETH on Binance or Coinbase or Crypto.com or anywhere else where it's not a sovereign wallet, where they don't have their keys, and the platform decides what tokens are listed, then when Pulse comes and forks ETH in 2 weeks, the platform gets the Pulse, you don't, because you don't actually own your key. It's like Robinhood. You don't own your keys. You own the rights to a certain amount, but you're not going to get that extra unless they decide to list it. Because like in Coinbase, I don't know if you remember 2017, you had all these people who were buying with ETH, right? And they'd put their Coinbase wallet address in as where they should send their ICO tokens. Well, Coinbase doesn't support all those ICO tokens. So they would send those tokens and they'd go off into Never Never Land. Now, some of those have hit. Some of those have been big, but Coinbase still doesn't list them. Coinbase owns all those tokens. The user does not. And there's no way to recover them.
That's
I
just
just
astounding.
I just wanted to jump in real quick. Uh, I'm not a equity holder of crypto.com or anything like that, but they have a DeFi wallet that allows you to sweep from their exchange, and they actually pay these huge interest rates for staking, and uh, and of course it's a DeFi wallet, so you're responsible for your own keys and all of that. But yeah, it's crack.
It is crack, right? I mean, I'm not alone in this. It's they made it so easy, although I have to tell you, buying Sheba, they made that hard. I'd hit the little magnifying glass, type in SHIB, and it wasn't there. I had to go to the tracking and it was like literally listed number 2, hit that and then hit buy on the bottom, but I couldn't get there any other way. So they really made me work for it, but I did get to buy it. So I was very
And
happy.
the thing about Sheba is, I'm glad you bring that up. So that was kind of launched by this whole Chinese cryptocurrency circles to kind of compete with Dogecoin. And
I
that's
think it's
just,
hilarious. I
it
bought
is,
$20 and my $20 is worth like $600. I throw entertainment money at it. I'd spend $21 on a movie ticket, popcorn, and a drink. So I'll spend $20 on something that I find entertaining, just like Doge, and it's all up. It's crazy.
yeah, it's pretty insane.
I don't ever recommend spending more than Vegas money or movie money on things that have Dogecoin actually has functionality. It's been around 7 years. It's great. You've got Dogecoin.city where you've got 1,500 businesses that are willing to take Dogecoin as payment. So it's actually got real world use case now. And because the price went up so high, now you have a whole bunch of developers that are looking to build dApps on it.
And Dogecoin, is supported by sports teams
Yes.
and by entertainers and by Mark Cuban and Elon Musk. I mean, this is endless list of supporters. So
And Dodge, the car Dodge, is about to take Doge to buy a Dodge.
so now it's like,
Now
Dodge is
it's a
really,
thing.
we used to do marketing for Dodge when I was running this out of home network called NTN Buzz Time. And, trying to create an interactive marketing experience from Dodge. Buying a Dodge car was very, very hard. It is just not cool. And Dogecoin is so cool. It's actually branding Dodge.
Right.
It's
It because here's the thing. Let's face it. Dodge is not cool. Dodge does not have the Tesla cool factor. But if they partner with Doge, now they get some cool factor, like reflected glow. So I think it's hilarious, and it was a really good job. And hat tip to whoever convinced them to do it. But now Doge has a real world thing. Sheba, SafeMoon, all those things are just getting pumped and crazy. And who the heck knows? But it's worth $20 for, then I had the entertainment value of watching it go up and down and listening to people talk about it and tracking some things. And I got my movie money skin in the game.
I'm
I
with
don't
you.
I
I
don't
think
put
this
big money into anything that I can't fully vet and do due diligence. And remember, I'm the 95% no girl. I can always bust something.
Yeah, no, you definitely want to use everything you've learned over the years when you're evaluating these coins. But I think Doge is here to stay. This is not a meme coin anymore because everybody in the world is now, thinking of it as a cool thing to take that would make their business look better. And once that starts, you have a business.
Yeah,
You're an entertainment business, but you have a coin.
right.
So, quick question about the NFTs, since that was kind of a discussion topic today in the virtual Infiom Salon. What do you guys think in terms of these values of NFTs? There were multiple NFTs sold in the millions again through Christie's. Is this going to continue for a period of time?
I think it was really interesting when the first speaker spoke about that it was not a bubble, and it's true now that many press or social media influencers are talking about NFTs and it's kind of becoming mainstream. People do say that it's like a bubble, but we feel that it's more than just NFT. The blockchain is bringing a new community and the power to artists, and for them to really have a peer-to-peer relationship. So we, of course, I mean, now we're convinced and we're active on NFTs and collaborating with Superworld. Of course, we're convinced and that it's not a bubble. But the way we speak about it to other artists and other content creators, even if they don't understand the concept, they do believe that it's something that's really strong and that could continue in the next years. And of course, like currently NFTs are under Ethereum, and Mariana, you've been posting a lot on LinkedIn how Ether has been growing. I think it was at 3,000 and maybe 4,000 now. So we do believe that it's going to continue, and it's great that Superworld is blockchain agnostic because depending on the cryptocurrency and of course having the smart contracts, they can shift depending on what's going to happen in the next couple of months because everything is going so fast. And we really like what you said a bit about the beginning also, power for blockchain and female, and being able to create revenue for artists, where art galleries are taking 50% of their art, and fairs, and of course because they have the client base and they have the facilities, and they're renowned and they have the press that follows and so on. But these platforms are really giving a voice to artists and to the power to the artists and decentralization. So we will still need centralization, but decentralization might take over. And let's see where the NFTs are in the next 10 years. But what Adrian was also saying, that what's happening in the metaverse, and it's growing even more in the following year, and what artists are doing at the moment with NFTs and NFT platforms. We do believe that in the next 5 years at least, it's gonna stay.
But remember, NFTs aren't just art. Like we've been doing NFTs since 2017 for carbon credits. So farmers who turn to regenerative farming, they earn carbon credits. And those carbon credits they would traditionally sell to a broker, who would 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 sell to Kellogg's or McDonald's. So the farmer would get $1, the final broker would sell it for $15. So instead, marketplaces like Nori.com, they're actually having the farmers turn in their carbon credits for tokens. So they're getting paid in tokens. And those tokens sell on the open market, and each token is worth a carbon credit. and those sell in the open market for $8 to $15, closer to 15. So now they're getting all of the money. It's
That's incredible.
it's
Yeah, and that
incredible.
supply chain with blockchain, of course, that's been around before, and you are an expert in it. And it's amazing how blockchain also is with the whole verification process and authenticity. And we're more expert in the luxury sector, and LVMH, Richmond, and Product Group finally decided to collaborate, and they founded Aura Blockchain for the certification process. But
Yep.
it's more than that. It's about the supply chains through blockchain, and it could go from, as you were saying, farmers to high end luxury products. But it is a revolution through blockchain first and foremost, and it's really saving and helping communities and changing lives for developing countries. And as you mentioned,
Absolutely. I want to talk about luxury goods for a minute because I don't know if I brought this up last week, but Mr. Nobody sleep minted Beeple's 5,000 Days version 2.
yes.
And that to me is like that is the risk to the luxury goods manufacturers until we can get this certified authenticated digital ID where it's got that stamp on it that yes, Louis Vuitton actually minted this, right? And it wasn't just minted in Louis Vuitton's wallet. It was actually Louis Vuitton. So because they minted it by altering the smart contract, minting a new smart contract that removed all the security protocols and had it be minted in his wallet and then moved to another wallet and then they sold it. So anybody who tracked it back would see it was minted in Beeple's wallet and then transferred to this other wallet and then sold to this other wallet. So on the blockchain, it looks authentic. So it's totally counterfeit. And that is the piece where I think that's the next phase of evolution for blockchain. And, we can't just say, it's the authenticated source of truth. No, it's an unfuckwithable ledger of what actually happened. What actually happened may or may not be legitimate or the truth.
I'm glad you brought that up because I've also been advising this company called Monax. They've been around since 2014, and they created legal contracts that attach to the smart contracts so that you can actually, as you're entering the data, you can actually attach legal contracts behind the product that are going into the smart contracts. So it's not just tracking. Smart contracts are great, but they're not very detailed in terms of the legal structures. These guys will allow you to track, where it was produced, is it authentic? Just like you have a stamp on a bag that people try to kind of duplicate. This would be that stamp, but stronger in a
I
legal contract attached.
Can you introduce me? Because I have about
Yes.
50 uses of that.
Yeah, I mean they're called Monax, and I'll introduce you. They're run by a woman, which is really awesome too. Her
I
name
love
is
that.
Esther Babb. Yeah, and she's a dynamo, and I'm happy to introduce you. And it's a great company. I believe that they will, help the world of NFTs greatly.
Fabulous.
So in terms of really interesting things that we've seen this week, we saw CryptoPunks sell at Christie's for 16.9 million. Those are the original NFTs. And then there's this headline that I haven't really dug deeper, but eBay will soon let you sell NFTs. So many, many years ago, when I first launched the KPMG incubator, one of the second venture in that incubator was by the founder of NASA Ames Research Incubator in Silicon Valley, and he incubated eBay. And way back, when eBay started and they were trying to raise their round of capital, they went to every VC in the valley, and everybody said to them, "This will never work. It's like selling nickel and dime products online. Who cares?" And so here we are, many, many years later. eBay is one of the top marketplaces in the world. Do you feel that eBay entering the NFT world is going to take it to nickel and dimes place, or is it going to take it further than Christie's? That's the question.
You're asking a woman who has bought 2 airplanes, 6 collector cars, and 50 vintage motorcycles on eBay if I
All
think
right.
that they can handle it. Yeah, I think they're okay. I mean, maybe not $69 million. Obviously, that's collectors don't play on eBay, but for a certain subset of collectibles, I absolutely think so. And if eBay is going to do that kind of thing, Top Shots, they're going to be like the number one exchange for Top Shots for buying and selling those kinds of things. Anything that's consumer memorabilia, entertainment, sports related, eBay's already got the audience. So I think it was a good play for them. Beeple, I don't even know if you actually did a survey of people on eBay, if they knew who Beeple was before Beeple sold a $69.3 million piece of digital art. They'd probably say no. So, not that kind of art, but I think mid tier to maybe, let's call it 50 grand. Like, will a CryptoPunks be sold on eBay? It depends on the commission structure, right? Because eBay has a commission structure, and right now the other marketplaces are like 2.9%, right? Or 3%, which seems reasonable, right? But then you've also got the royalties. So will eBay honor the ongoing royalties? If eBay, here's how eBay makes the play and wins the game. Right now we have this ERC 721 issue where the royalties going from marketplace to marketplace are not necessarily required to be honored. So if I go and I buy something on OpenC and then I take it to a peer-to-peer ERC 20 compatible exchange, then I can sell it over there and the royalties are not actually going to be paid. And who's going to know, right? So in the smart contracts, it doesn't even notify the original holder that it was transferred again, right? So it's an issue. But if eBay says, look, we are going to go through every single NFT and we are going to allow, because here's the other piece, right? The royalties are supposed to be paid, but what if you no longer have access to that wallet? Where do the royalties get paid? They get paid to a wallet you no longer have access to. The ability to switch your payment or the ability to sell your rights to those royalties to an aggregator who's investing in rights and royalty rights, you can't switch the wallet. So these are the things that we're going to fix with ERC 921, but that was proposed last September and hasn't been implemented yet. So any platform that can actually architect that into their marketplace to protect the original artists is going to win, especially on the consumer side, because the artist will get paid, eBay will take their cut, the consumer's going to get they're going to get to buy it, and maybe they don't have to pay, $350 in Ethereum gas fees. Maybe there's a way where everything gets moved over to layer 2 or whatever. Like I believe that eBay has the chops and the cojones to forcibly fix the problem. It won't help for the 69 million, but what do they care about $350 in gas fees at that point? But for the mainstream consumer, I think it's a smart play. That was very long-winded. I'm sorry.
No, I know it's interesting that you bought luxury goods on it. I think we sold like a grand piano, and it ended up almost being 7 or 8 or 10% in fees when you added it all up. In terms of how much they put like an extra charge in some of their shipping fees and everything else. So I was just wondering if you have an idea of what may work for NFT sales in terms of fee percentages.
Well, we're used to 3%. Foundation takes 15%, right? So if eBay wanted to put Foundation out of business, they would basically charge 10% and have a curated, almost like with art reviews, like restaurant reviews, like a Zagat rated, but for art. And I don't know what that's called, but they would have that and have a curated marketplace of high-end NFTs and only charge 10% flat fee. They would literally win the day.
Because people would want that sort of editorial content surrounding the sale.
Yeah, there's some investors that only go to Foundation, and then there's some that go to OpenSea and they scroll through 50,000 things to find the one thing that they like. It depends on what kind of shopper they are and what kind of collector they are. And they would really win the day. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, I can't remember what it's called, but Mark Cuban made an Ethereum NFT viewer that's an app that's just like all it does is attach to your wallet and show your NFTs so you can show them off easily, which is kind of cool.
I love
So,
Cuban. He's like always pushing the boundaries in every space he's in. It's great.
yeah, yeah, we have a very similar mentality as kind of ball busters. But I love that because it's like, no, just fix it. This is not rocket science, people. Fix it. It really isn't, and that's what makes me so crazy. We've already had the ERC 921, um, the protocol like out there since September. It's been proposed, and then it's not implemented. They're already doing hard forks. Like, why not build it into the hard forks? I'm not understanding when it's been such a huge issue, and it's like it's giving the other blockchains an opportunity to do it better. Like if you look at OG Pay, their OG2D is launching their marketplace. Not only is every single work of art authenticated just like it would be at Christie's, right? So the people who are listing on there, they've already had all of the rights cleared, everything. So they're not minting somebody else's work. You're not going to worry about that. They insure all the crypto in the wallets up to $30 million, including your NFTs, $200,000 in cash. They've got a metaverse play. They're the ones who were doing the car, by the way. They're literally solving all the problems. So if they can get it done faster than eBay has the name recognition and already has the audience, but OG Pay is probably going to do it the best.
Very interesting. Carlos, you had a question. We have like time for maybe one question left.
Yeah, hi, Mariana. Thank you so much. I was kind of interested in knowing about NFTs and brands, the added value that NFT or NFT marketplaces dedicated to specific brands more into the high end market. This is Carlos Andon speaking. I want to get your opinion on that. Thank you.
Okay.
Certainly. Go ahead, Adrian.
Okay. Look at Sweet.io. They literally are doing like a brand partnership with, I think it's Burger King, that kind of takes on the fries with that thing. Like they have a little fries NFT, but kind of like McDonald's with the Monopoly game. There's tons of ways where you can do these little collectibles, and if they collect them via a McDonald's wallet rather than having to hold on to all those little things and paste them onto a piece of paper. Do you remember that? How many times have I played McDonald's Monopoly trying to win $1 million? Like a lot, right? But it's a way to get people to go in and buy, and then when they buy, they can scan the QR code and they can get a piece, and the piece is randomized, kind of like the card packs, the baseball pack openings. There's so many different ways that you can do it, but that way they're getting onto their customer's phone. That's the key when it comes to brands, is owning your audience. Right now, when you do these little regular coupons or whatever, and maybe Bed Bath and Beyond has your actual home address, and maybe they have your email. Maybe very rarely do they have your phone number, right? Unless you sign up for the SMS messages. But they're probably the ones who own their audience the most. Most other brands don't, especially restaurants, especially things where you just walk in and buy it. So using NFTs, which are super hot and super in the media right now, in a really creative way that benefits the user and then has that brand recognition, that's the bomb right there.
I'm with you because those McDonald's game pieces freak me out. They stress me out.
Oh, don't even get me started about Beanie Babies. My mother actually has an entire hermetically sealed, like collectible, almost all of the mini Beanie Babies from McDonald's.
So in terms of, I would say Christian is not here. In terms of brands, Carlos, in addition to what Adrian said, you also have the whole supply chain management opportunity with NFTs. I was at Elevate, I think, in 2019, and the biggest speaker at the conference were not some of the crypto greats, but it was the guy from Bumblebee Tuna, because he created a supply chain management platform for tuna, which tracks, how it's farmed, how it's caught, is it wild caught, how does it get to your table, for how long, etc. But if you can actually use an NFT to track each product in a supply chain management solution on blockchain, that would actually be a great application for enterprise of any kind, especially if it's a consumer product and somebody cares where it came from. Additionally, I would say what Adrian was addressing is all the marketing opportunities. So you can literally do any frequent user program and or marketing program that a brand does to gain attention of the consumers, and you can NFT that. You can do a serial NFT of it. It's clearly going to be more than one item. And then kind of track it and then reward those users as loyal users. I personally prefer tokenized solutions, and Eric and I have been looking at many tokenized solutions for the e-commerce space where the consumer actually has a token instead of a frequently used points. So there is NFT applications with major brands. There are token applications with major brands, and I think all of them will have some of those programs in the next year or so.
Thank you so much, Mariana and Adrian, for your input. I was really interested in this space and for specific use cases. And I want all the ideas possible since we are launching in the next 3 weeks a collection of hyper electric cars under the Hispano Suiza brand. Hispano Suiza is being a brand that was it was founded in 1904, and they were they're Hispano Suiza and Rolls Royce until 1946, where they stopped manufacturing cars, and they relaunched a couple years ago with this a collection of 22 electric hypercars. So we're launching that as an NFT, just 10 of them, within our Trillion Collection NFT marketplace. But obviously, because it's like the Bugatti of electric cars, which means like 1.6 million euros each car. So we're doing obviously certain different type of strategies, and we're trying to see what fits better with the brand and also the price, getting that to that specific user, which is kind of really obviously their celebrities, athletes, high net worth individuals which have the means to buy the car. But in any case, I would love to you guys, share the project with you guys and explore any potential collaborations, because you seem very knowledgeable about all this. Thank you so much. This is Carlos Anton speaking. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, you could find me on LinkedIn. It's Mariana Danilovich, and just ping me on there, or it's Mariana at Infiom.com. And Adrian, you want to give him your info?
Yes, Adrian, ADRYENN, at wowisme.net.
Did you, Adrian, had a room with a VC a few days ago? What was his name? Invest in blockchain and crypto. What's his name? Just recently. I thought it was you.
I've done about 40 rooms in the
Oh,
last 5 days.
okay,
So I don't
okay,
know,
okay.
but I would say if it was a crypto room, I was in there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
very
Awesome.
I'll
welcome.
DM you. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Okay.
so much for the question. Thank you, Adrian, for a lot of discussion coverage today. I appreciate all the input. Aline and Camille and Jeanette and Eric and Carlos, thank you for all the questions. We look forward to seeing you guys again next Wednesday. We're hosting this particular room every Wednesday, 1:30 to 2:30. And then every other Wednesday, we have a Zoom event called Virtual Infiom Salons. And you can find us on Eventbrite as well. So please join us, and thank you for, I'm sorry I can't take any more questions today, but come next week and we'll bring the same great speakers and you can ask them more questions. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mariana.
Thank
Thank
you very much.
you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. Bye.
See you guys
Thank
next
you.
week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.